It's go, 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 go time.
Hi there, I'm Kim from the Golfi team at Remax. I'm here with Todd from Mission 35 Mortgages, and we are here to talk to you today about some of the mortgage rules that are changing in Canada as of December 15th coming up.
Yeah, so absolutely, Kim. Some of the first things we got the new 30-year amortizations coming up for first-time home buyers and new construction builds. This is an extended term allowing new first-time home buyers coming into the market, making home ownership a little bit easier. It allows you to pay a little bit less on your monthly payments. It also makes qualification just a little bit easier because your percentages come down just a little bit.
Awesome. Okay, and with the change in insured mortgages between $1 million to $1.5 million, that opens up a lot of doors for people that are in that higher price point. Giving them more options in order to purchase that might be a little over $1 million in markets like Halton and higher end markets in Hamilton like Ancaster and stuff like that.
Oh, for sure. It's about opening doors for more buyers. If you're considering buying and you have more equity as opposed to income, this opens a lot of doors for a lot more people, and it opens doors in different communities as well. It's a great way to explore if you're looking to, say, moving from Hamilton to Burlington, you want to move from Burlington to Mississauga, places like that, or Niagara to some of the more areas like St. David's or places like that. It creates opportunities for you. Like I said, if you have more equity as opposed to income, it creates openings that way.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about the market in Hamilton and Niagara, especially the opportunities that might be out there for first-time home buyers and downsizers.
Yeah, I mean, Hamilton is such a booming community right now. There's so many listings out there right now. There's over 900 listings right now. I did open houses last weekend, and there was over 400 open houses. So there's such an opportunity there right now, and I think there's 300 listings in Hamilton right now under $500,000. Such a fantastic opportunity if you're interested in getting started, or if you're a DIYer. I mean, if you're somebody that is handy and you want to get started and build it yourself, right? That is such a way to start right now. It's such a good way to go. Niagara, I mean, Niagara better than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, Niagara is, obviously a bit of a slower market than Hamilton. Well, Hamilton is a great market, especially for first-time home buyers that are commuters. Definitely looking in that area, and yeah, 300 houses under 500,000 is huge right now. That's like 4 months of inventory.
Yeah.
That's the most we've seen since 2019. Like, that's massive. But Niagara, there are lots of opportunities as well for first-time home buyers and downsizers, or people that maybe want to get out of Hamilton, retiring, moving to the region. 48% of our inventory is actually under $700,000.
That's crazy.
It's huge. It's amazing, and 17% of that inventory is actually under $500,000. So we have more listings than in Hamilton. We have more inventory that's under $700,000, but it might not be an ideal location for some people. So you really have to pick and choose what's best for you, what's best for your lifestyle.
Right. I mean, everybody thinks of Hamilton and Niagara as more of the lower end, but there are so many opportunities for every lifestyle in both areas. I mean, Hamilton has Pembroke, Hamilton has Ancaster, Hamilton has Dundas. Niagara Falls has Fort Erie, Niagara Falls has St. David's. They have Niagara on the Lake, right? Port Dalhousie. There are so many different opportunities. I mean, yes, there are lots of lower price houses and opportunities to get started, but there are other opportunities out there as well. So they are markets that are booming for everybody right now. And I say this about Hamilton a lot because Hamilton's where I grew up. It's where I came in, and I know the city like Niagara region. That's one of the things I say about it. It's a hub that gives you access to everywhere. Yes, it sucks to drive everywhere from there, but you're still the middle of everything, right? You get to Niagara the same amount of time. You can get to Toronto, you get to Mississauga, Burlington, you can get to Grimsby, Oakville, all that stuff, pretty much all the same amount of time. So, I mean, Niagara, you are the gateway to the U.S. from there, right? You want to go, there's so many people I know that grew up in this area where you are here in Niagara, worked across the border.
Yeah.
And it gives you that access. So.
Yeah, and just shopping across the border, flying out of Buffalo when you're going places. Those are all conveniences that are, just really, really easy for us here that we take for granted, though other people, would otherwise really like to enjoy. Especially, our scenery, our wineries, our hiking trails, the Bruce Trail, everything like that is huge. And you know what, like with the inventory being the way that it is, And these new 30-year amortizations, there's a great opportunity here for not just first-time home buyers, but, those move-up buyers or those move-over buyers, people that want to go from a condo to a townhouse, people that want to go from a townhouse to a detached home or something like that. These, that 30-year amortization makes a huge difference.
I mean, just to give you an idea, if you're looking at like a $900,000 purchase, I mean, those are just numbers, but just on a 25-year AM, your down payment is going to be $142,000. Your monthly payment is going to be $42.75, and your term payments over the period of the whole thing is $256,000. If you go down to, if you make it a 30-year AM, your down payment drops to $136,000. So less money down, instant savings. You're paying $3,900 a month. So now you're saving $300 a month over the period of 5 years. That is a ton of savings. That covers
like your hydro and your home insurance.
Right?
There.
Huge difference right there. And then over the period of the entire thing, you're going down to $235,000 from $256,000. That's $20,000 plus the additional, $6,000 at the very beginning that you saved on your down payment. That makes a huge difference, especially for a young family or something like that. You got it, or even a young couple just getting started.
That's like university tuition, right there.
You're making a huge difference to families doing that kind of stuff.
Definitely makes a huge difference. Okay, so we'll just move on, and we're going to talk about timing of the market. It's always a favorite of ours.
Yeah. So when is the right time to buy?
Well, you know what they say, the best time to buy was 5 years ago. Always. But realistically, the best time to buy is always now. Markets will fluctuate. And as long as you're not a flipper, and you're planning to stay in that house for 5 or more years, you're always going to make some money. You're always going to grow equity. On average, we grow 3 to 5% per year. And then, what they say, the price of real estate in Canada doubles every year. Now that's average. That doesn't mean your $400,000 house, doubles every 10 years. My mistake. Doubles every 10 years. It doesn't mean your $400,000 house today is going to be $800,000 in 10 years. That's the average of, the price of real estate in Canada. But, realistically, with the exception of some blips and some exceptions, you will almost always make equity over the course of a 5-year term.
Absolutely. Marry the house, date the rate, right? I mean, you can always look if it makes sense refinancing down the road. Don't forget there are penalties, but if you're in a variable rate, the penalties are a little bit easier.
What are the penalties for a variable rate? Usually about 3 months.
For a variable rate, it's an open rate. It's an open rate mortgage, so you're paying 3 months. If you're a fixed rate, it's a little bit more complicated. It's either 3 months interest or the interest rate differential, which means you're paying the difference in the interest rate times whatever you have left on the mortgage, times however many months you have left, whatever is more expensive, and usually is the interest rate differential. There
are opportunities maybe to port that mortgage if you decide to move and things like that. I know that's what I did when I moved from my townhouse to my detached house. Rather than pay the fee to break it, we ported, we blended. There are ways to do things.
That's one of the big advantages to dealing with a mortgage agent, because if you're going to talk with somebody about getting a mortgage, that's one of the questions I ask. Are you planning to move in the next 3 to 5 years? Because then that's one of the things. Not all mortgages are portable, right? You can't take a mortgage with you from every bank.
No,
right? True. So that's one of the things I will make sure to go out and look for.
No, 100%. So, when we talk about what the best time to buy is when you're ready to buy, when you're qualified and when you're ready to buy. For sellers, we typically talk about, we typically hear from sellers, I want to wait for the spring market. I want to wait for the fall market. The reality is spring market starts in February. So if you're waiting for the spring market to sell, you want to get started now. You want to be purging, you want to be decluttering, you want to be painting, you want to be changing out lights. You want to be getting all that stuff ready. And then you want to get your photos. If you had an opportunity to get your photos in the summertime when you had a nice yard and things like that, that's always great. But if you didn't, that's fine. Just start now, because once you take down those Christmas decorations and you're starting to think about it, we're going to come in, we're going to get photos, we're going to have your staging consultation, all of that. And you want to kind of get on the market in February before that influx of inventory that happens in March and April, where people's mentality think that that is where the spring market is. So you have less competition that you're going up against, and you'll get the higher and better price for your property within the shortest amount of time.
I use this comparison a lot. I grew up in construction. I came up in construction. Our busiest season was always in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come to us when we're already busy, when we got 5 jobs on the go already, and every one of our guys is already on site doing something? Or do you want to come and talk to us when we're slow, when we have the time to talk to you and figure things out properly and make sure you're going and you're started before everybody else is?
Yeah.
Right? There's a time to start and a time to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, now is the time to start. I've said this. I laugh because there was a saying when I got into this business, there's no such thing as a perfect rate and a perfect price, right? But you look at the market now, interest rates have come down in the last 6 months, and the market has not responded. Not yet.
Not yet.
For 6 months, the market has yet to respond. And it's kind of a perfect storm, and it's not going to last.
No.
Because rates are coming down. We have the new rules coming in. Rates are going to continue to come down. Well, we had a bit of fixed rates have hit a wall at this point, but the variable rates are going to continue to come down. Yeah. I don't have a crystal ball, but no, everything points to it. Yeah. You might go back up a little bit and come back down. It is what it is, but the spring market is coming. And it is literally a buyer's market at this point.
Yeah,
to an extent
Hamilton
I have never seen.
Niagara, really and truly. I've not seen, so many stories of people getting properties for $50,000 under asking. There are still, scenarios where we are seeing multiple offers on very well-priced properties. Yeah. But those are the sellers that realize that their house is not going to be priced like it was in 2021. And they're realistic, about what their list price should be. Typically, those are, people who have already been in their home for quite some time. They've built up some equity. They can be realistic. Like, for example, my house right now, if I were to list it, I'd probably list it at $900,000. Yep. But if I were to list it in 2021, I would have listed it at $999 and held offer, and I probably would have gotten over $1 million. Yep. But I've owned my house since 2014. So if I were to be moving today, I need to be realistic about my list price. And that being said, if you are buying and selling in the same market, it doesn't matter. Yep. It doesn't matter if you're making $20,000 more, if you're going to pay $20,000 less for what you're purchasing. So exactly. It's all about being realistic. And maybe for those people that are hoping to downsize and become mortgage free, that reality just may not be here, depending on where you're moving to and where you're selling. There are some people that are in the scenario where, they might be wanting to move to a more expensive market. They might be wanting to sell their 2-story detached home in Grimsby and cross the bridge and retire in a bungalow in Burlington. Realistically, being mortgage free isn't likely an option. So perhaps having a small mortgage with a 30-year amortization, making those payments very minimal, so that they're affordable, and die with your mortgage. Let it rip. Your kids are going to sell the house.
And
they're still going to have a great, a great inheritance that you're leaving them, and you're going to be happy with, with what you did. It is what it is these days. That's a lot of people's reality, and I think if you can get behind that and wrap your head around it, of listen, hey, carrying a $70,000 or $100,000 year mortgage or $100,000 mortgage on a $1 million home is so minimal, and if I can minimize that payment, who cares if it's paid off, because I'm going to be in the ground and my kids are still going to have money. Yep. They're still going to sell that house and they're still going to have money.
Yeah, there is definitely a lot of stress out there when it comes to that kind of stuff right now. Mm-hmm. And I talk to a lot of people about, you want to sell right now at $1 million, but are you going to buy for $1 million right now? And 2 years from now, you might be able to sell for 1.2, but you're also going to buy for 1.2. Yeah. And you have to, unless you're severely downsizing, it's not going to write back and forth. There's always going to be that up and down. I actually have this conversation with my wife who wants to go into something smaller. So the problem is we're not going to get the equity we got out of our house right now. Yeah. You're not going to get the same value out of the property we have anywhere we go right now.
And
So-
remembering too that going from a 2-story to a bungalows always fetch a higher price per square foot.
Yep.
So they do lean on the more expensive side than a 2-story because they are more expensive to build.
Yep.
And your square footage is actually sometimes a bit higher when you finish that basement, right? Like I live in a 1,800 square foot 2-story house, the finished basement right now. So let's call it, I have 2,300 square feet of space. But if I go into a 1,400 square foot bungalow with a finished basement, I'm going to have almost 2,800 square feet of finished space, right? So it's about the construction costs. Yep. It's about all of that. So I think a lot of people that are like, I'm encountering a lot of people right now in my home evaluations that are on the cusp of retirement.
Yep.
And, they didn't sell in 2021 and they're regretting it. And they're like, I should have sold, I should have rented, and nobody has a crystal ball.
You can't look backwards at this point.
You can't look backwards, but they are so hung up on the idea of being mortgage free.
Yep.
And I just think at some point we have to understand that that's not likely the reality.
Yep.
And it's all about minimizing your monthly costs and maximizing your lifestyle because nobody's living to 100 anymore.
If you take what you have now and you drop, say, you've got a $1.2 million house or even $900,000 house right now, right? And you have a $2,000 mortgage on it, but you're able to sell and downsize and drop that down to $1,000 or $800 more, that you're paying $1,000 or $800 a month on it. How much stress does that take off your plate for the next 5 years, right? And
if you're in a position that you've saved for retirement, you've got RSPs and you have that money there that's going to come in, and maybe you're lucky enough to have a pension. I know like my mom, for example, she's got a pension from where she retired from. She's got rental income. She's got, a lot of equity in that house, a ton of equity in that house. And realistically, that small mortgage that she carries is very minimal. And the idea of, I want to leave something behind for you kids is great. You're still going to leave something behind. And you know what? You also may not. You may end up in a nursing home for 10 years.
We should talk about reverse mortgages next time.
Yeah, we should talk about reverse mortgages next time.
Because this one goes into that one really well.
Yeah,
and
that is.
There's a lot of stigma against them.
Yeah.
Right. And there's really a lot of information out there that, we'll get into it next time.
Yeah.
Because there's too much to get into it now, but there's a lot of information out there that could help a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, and the problem is there's a lot of predatory products out there for reverse mortgages. So you hear these horror stories, right?
Yeah.
And I have heard them. I have people that are like, I'm moving with my parents because of this, that, and the other thing, and they've got this reverse mortgage that they took out and whatever, blah blah blah. So that's releasing that stigma. But there's a whole stigma around mortgages, period, for older people.
There's a reverse mortgage around me as a mortgage agent because I've got a whole series on my Instagram about, the myths of mortgage agents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because but I mean, it is what it is. You do your best and you fight them, right? Mm-hmm. You're in the same boat.
Yeah.
Agent, so.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we wrap this up. I'll cut it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll do okay. Okay. Well, thanks so much for coming today, Todd, making your way from Hamilton to Grimsby to our new office here. And I appreciate your time. And hopefully this helps everybody, maybe understand a little bit more about these mortgage changes. And, we're here.
Yeah.
Our numbers are going to be on the bottom of the screen somewhere.
If you have any questions, any mortgage questions, any finance related questions when it comes to the real estate agent or industry, feel free to reach out to me, Mission 35 Mortgages. We're here to help.